Time for episode 3. It's your Racer X preview for the Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship for 2018. Jason Weigandt, Steve Matthes, Jason Thomas here in Morgantown, West Virginia. We have David Pingree out of the test tracks in California. A big thanks to our sponsors, LS2 Helmets, Pro Taper Handlebars, and New Ray Toys. This episode is called The Mystery Men. Now, I don't know if some of the guys we're talking about on this show are the title contenders that they once were, but they're still very popular. This might be our biggest show of the year because people are like moths to a flame with some of the names we'll be mentioning in a little bit. Some of those people are you, actually, that love some of these riders. But our first subject is Justin Barcia. The riders we're talking about here were in a state of flux. What's their team situation? And Barcia, we thought might come into the year as a privateer. He's now picked up the ride with Monster Energy niche Yamaha as Cooper Webb's teammate, replacing the injured Davi Millsaps. So at least Barcia solved one problem. He's got the bike. He's got the factory team again. But is he going to be good? It has not been a good 3 Supercross seasons. Actually, 4 you could pretty much say for Barcia. Ever since his rookie year, it has not been pretty. He's had some injuries he could potentially blame. Maybe the team bike he wasn't getting along. But he just hasn't been good. And we have a lot of data to say that, yeah, but there were races where he were healthy and it just wasn't good. So JT, I mean, is Barcia going to get it back? Or is this where he is? It's tough.
Personally, I don't see anything that would signify a huge change in what we've seen.
Yeah.
He's come into seasons healthy, unhealthy, different bikes, different teams, and it's really been static as far as the result in the end. So maybe he does. Maybe he comes out and shocks the world and he's much improved, you know. But if I had to bet on it, I would say we'd kind of see the same Justin Barcia. Maybe has some flashes in a qualifying race. Very aggressive in the way he races with other guys. But at the end of the main event, if I saw him better than 5th, I would be surprised at this point.
It's interesting. People are going to say, Barcia on Yamaha. I thought a year ago he hated Yamaha. JGR switched to Suzuki. I've talked to the Yamaha guys. Excellent spin on everyone's part. That was the JGR Yamaha. Barcia and the factory Yamaha guys, love fest. It's going to be fine. New bike that we talked about with Webb also should be good. So there's at least some positive spin from their part, but the question is, will it actually manifest itself on the track?
That's what it is, Weege. It's just spin. I don't buy it.
That's what we get this time of year from
exactly,
everybody. Yes.
That's fine. He's got a 6-race deal right now with the Monster Yamaha squad. JT, do you think it goes all year?
I think it does. There's no way to know for sure yet, but if I had to pick one or the other, I don't think we're going to see Davi come back for a couple of reasons. I think his injuries were a little bit tougher to get past than maybe he's seeing right now. But yeah, I think it works out. I don't think his results really force their hand per se, but I think he's available and it just works out that way.
Look, Justin Barcia didn't like the Honda that he was on that had won races the year before, so he jumped to the JGR Yamaha team. He won some races with that, didn't like the Yamaha. They went to Suzuki. He expressed concern about that bike also and got out of that. Now we saw him at the Monster Cup. He got back on a brand new redesigned Honda. It was his bike of choice. And he rode okay. He got better as the night went on. If I'm in Barcia's camp, and I'm certainly not.
No.
But no. If I was in Barcia's camp, I ride what makes me happy and what I like the best. I do a Chad Reed shootout of bikes. And whether it's red or green or whatever, I buy what I want, I build my own program. He's got plenty of money to do it, and I bank on myself, because he's got talent, and I bank on being happy on the motorcycle. So I don't like the switch that he did. I don't like this. He's back on a bike that he didn't agree with, and I think everything from the Yamaha group is spin.
I don't agree with you. I would not ever pass up a factory bike. Yes, Chad Reed did an awesome job with 2-2 Motorsports, but he didn't have any other options at that time. If someone like Factory Yamaha was dangling a bike in front of Chad Reed before the 2011 season, he probably would have taken it.
They dangled a 6-race deal into the thing.
But
I would take it every time.
I think if you're Barcia and you came to the Monster Energy Cup and you had your own program and you went out and bought a Honda and you went out and won or got on the podium, you'd be like, yeah, I can't take a step back or a sideways move or however you want to view it at this point. But we really didn't see any difference out of Barcia at Monster Cup, in my opinion. He was kind of the same guy he had been. So in that scenario, why are you going to go spend your own money, put all this work in, your own program, buy all this equipment, when Factory Yamaha's like, here you go.
Yeah.
Go out and do it. So I would disagree only because we didn't see a huge jump up in his results when he went out and did it on his own for Monster Cup.
Okay, we got like a tie here. Let's see what David Pingree thinks. He's actually at the Yamaha test track in California, so maybe he's even seen these guys riding. Ping, what do you think of Barcia's chances? What does he need to do to get back on track and be where he was a few years ago when Pingree and you were absolutely on the Barcia train?
Hey guys, well, it's funny, I was just talking to Jimmy Perry, one of the chief Yamaha brass over here, about just that. What's going on with Justin? How's he looking? And what does he need to do to get back up on the box? And Jimmy kind of said it's a lot of things. You know, a lot of it is injuries. He's been struggling through a lot of injuries over the years, and that affects your confidence, your fitness, and your riding for that matter. So he's finally healthy, and Jimmy's really excited about that. So that's good. He's got that going for him. I think he also, Jimmy said some of it's riding technique. You know, he's always been a rever, which worked great on a 250. But when you move up, it's hard to make that work long term. Maybe you can be really fast here and there, which is kind of what Justin's done. But when you're trying to over rev a 450 for 18 rounds, the chances of that going bad are pretty high. So hopefully, and sounds like Jimmy is kind of working with him. He's had a lot of guys try to help him with that, work on his technique, find the right RPM, ride the bike the way it's meant to be ridden. Justin certainly has the talent, so it's just kind of fine tuning some of those technique issues. And then the last thing is, I think he realized this offseason after being let go by JGR, not being able to find anything as far as a ride, trying to put something together on his own. I think that was an eye-opener. You realize quickly in this sport that you can be here today and gone today. So you better work hard and appreciate the opportunities you're given. And so I think right now Justin Barcia really appreciates the opportunity he's been given with Yamaha, and I don't see him letting that go or taking it lightly. So sounds like he's on pace. He's been riding with Cooper Webb a lot. He's right there. I think he's got all of the ingredients he needs to have a successful season and get back to being a front runner. I'm pulling for him. I always like Justin Barcia. He's a really nice kid, a lot of personality. We'll see at Anaheim 1 if he can put it all together. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks. One more question I have on Barcia. I've heard a lot of riders say that in the era of the 450 four-stroke bike setup, and I know that makes you choke when you hear that term, is more critical than it was in the 252 stroke days, and it's certainly more critical, the bike setup on a 450, than the 250 four-stroke class, which Barcia was very successful in. I'm wondering if Justin Barcia, JT, is the first example of a rider who maybe isn't great at testing, and we're seeing that be a bigger factor than it used to be back in the day, because we're in the four-stroke era.
I don't know what to put with that. I think maybe there's something to it, but man, we saw him come out his first year and win races right away on a 450.
Yeah.
When he really didn't have a lot of experience on the 450, even the summer before that in the Outdoor Championship, he rode a few 450 races. He did really well. So I don't know if it's that or if he's taken steps backwards in his ability or if other riders have gotten better. You know, it seems like we would have heard from past teams, past relationships, if he was a poor tester, because that always seems to come out if he's just steering them the wrong direction. I don't seem to hear that. Maybe you have. I don't know what to attribute it to. There's a lot of theories. There's that theory. There's the David Villeman theory that he over revs and doesn't ride a 450 very efficiently. So, man, the easy thing to say is something's wrong. The hard thing to say is what exactly is wrong, right?
It's literally $1 million question that needs to be answered. Okay, we're here with a quick update. Davi Millsaps, he's out injured, big injury. That's who Barcia is filling in for. Get well soon, Davi. And here are the riders that the fans turned on this show to hear about. Let's first start with Chad Reed. Now, I know every single year on this show we say you can never, ever count out Chad Reed. I believe I'm at the point to count out Chad Reed. Just all the things have lined up. I'm not saying he's not going to race, but I don't think at this point I can say I see Chad Reed winning races anymore. The amount of things that are stacked up against him, couldn't get a ride together, wasn't riding much before he got a ride together, then got hurt, barely going to be on the motorcycle before Anaheim 1. It's not trending in the right direction for Chad. And by the way, the last 2 seasons, I know he blamed the bike and team. They weren't spectacular. He had a few moments. This is a very scary moment for Chad Reed.
It is, and we know he'll be at the races at some point. Hopefully Anaheim 1 in a fun mover with Mike Goster as his mechanic on a Boost Mobile Husqvarna FC 450. We know that. He's going to be tough to make Anaheim 1. If he does, he won't be in great shape. He'll probably get stronger as the races go on. I'm with you, Weege, but only because of the injury that I think it's going to be a tough year for Chad.
Right.
If he had had his full off season, and then I would go back to that point about never, ever, 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 ever.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep.
But with the injury, with the late start, with him not having raced since May, it is going to be tough for the 2-2, I think, to make any kind of impact in this year's Supercross series. He will make an impact with his tremendous VIP program, as well as with the fans in the sport. But as race results, oh boy.
Yeah, you talked to him right before Straight Rhythm, and he had admitted he was not riding much at that point. And then he got hurt, so he hasn't been riding at all. So that's not a good combo. Now, you mentioned this VIP program. Chad's trying to find a way to fund this new race team. Chad, very close with our own Jason Thomas. You guys go way back. I know he's aware that you used to run a VIP program. So every once in a while, you'd even have your VIPs at the races come and visit. Chad, now taking a page out of your book and has a VIP program of his own. Any comments?
I didn't know this
Oh,
was happening.
really?
No,
Not aware?
Never heard of it. No.
Wow, not aware.
Well, sometimes JT goes in a bubble.
Yeah, JT, very hard to communicate with. He's usually not up on things.
He doesn't have his phone a lot. He's not
no.
looking at his phone a lot. So.
I don't know. This is all news to me.
Not aware. Okay.
What about on the track?
It's going to be tough, like you said. The toughest part of all of this was he wasn't riding before this injury, right? He uses the November and December months in a boot camp fashion, just like everyone else does, but he's been robbed of that because of this injury. So he's going to come in in worse shape than he was, say, in October when he was out of shape from all summer. So I think he's got a tough road ahead of him. That all means zero testing. Zero, and he's big on that. He's big on finding answers with his bike and being very, very comfortable. And I think any riders of age, they need that. As you get older, you need the bike to be more perfect for you. So I think there's going to be a lot of hurdles to get past. There's going to be a health factor. There's going to be a new team, a new setup, all these variables. He doesn't have any 2017 settings to go on, so everything's going to be new, and he's going right into racing. So it's not an enviable position. He's a legend of the sport. I'm sure he'll do okay. He's got a lot of talent, but the Chad Reed we've seen in past years we may not see that this year.
Let's just best finish for Chad Reed this season. We each.
6.
I'll go 5th.
Yeah, I had 5th. I had 5th penciled in, yeah.
I'm a hater. You mentioned he's a legend of the sport, and that's cool that he's out there. I think the fans are at the point where they'd rather have Chad Reed racing and getting anything.
Honestly,
22nd as opposed to not racing.
He will be the most popular rider in the pits.
Well, only because we don't know about one other rider who will put together quite an autograph line. Now,
I think we know.
Yes. Everyone asks, besides how's Ken Roxon's arm injury, question number 2 is always, is James Stewart going to come back? What's up with James Stewart? Nothing is up with James Stewart. Nothing is up. Nothing is up, okay? Like, yes, he was seen at his ride day that he has to have and he has to ride. He rode. That is not an indication that he's testing and motoing down and training and ready. Lately, I heard some rumors that maybe in the second half of the season he'll show up.
Stop it.
But the bottom line is, last year he put it on Instagram before Anaheim won and said, I'll be back soon. Soon is now 12 months. When is this happening?
It's not.
How does this make you feel? Steve?
I would like
Scrubs.
I would like a legend to have a proper farewell. I'm a little bit hurt that James hasn't given us a proper farewell.
Like RC with his farewell tours?
There goes my hero.
There goes my
Are you
hero.
okay with that style of farewell?
No, I would just like a press release or a signification of some sort
Yes.
that I am done racing. Thank you to everybody, and I am riding off into the sunset.
Can we get Ricky and James together?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Farewell
I
tour.
don't think that would happen. But honestly, yeah, I mean, James is a legend. Like he's provided us with life's highlights of riding and everything else. And it's just, I wish he would decide one way or another. And I'm sure a lot of other people feel that way also.
Well, it's weird because some people are criticizing him for not saying he's retired. But I think from his perspective, he's saying, I'm not saying it because I'm not. For whatever reason, he doesn't want to put that nail in the coffin yet. So I don't believe you're going to see him come back and race. I don't. But he's at least leaving the door open. Now, you had the hot take last year.
I did.
This is a strange situation.
Stu's done. Stu is done. He's done.
You did.
I feel good about it.
That he's not racing again.
Well, I feel good about my take. I don't feel good about him not racing. I think
Right.
motocross is best served and supercross is best served with James Stewart involved.
Right.
But I don't think he's coming back. I really don't. I mean, he's definitely much heavier than he was in his prime, right? So that wouldn't signify any sort of return. to form. I haven't not seen one shot across the bow that would give us any indication that he's serious about making a comeback right now.
Yeah, and by the way, we have stats here, how many wins Stewart and Reed have compared to all the other riders in the field. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're talking almost 100 wins combined with these two. And keep in mind one other thing on Stewart. It's been a long time since he even had a good finish, even when he was racing. You got to go all the way back to 2014, I believe, to find even a top 10 finish from Stu in a Supercross. That's a big gap, and he might be the most talented rider ever, but 4 years?
People never forget.
I know.
People never forget.
All right. While we're on the topic of Stewarts, there's another Stewart who did race last year, and I
Ronnie?
cannot believe that he's back.
Ronnie.
Ronnie Stewart probably will be back, right?
Yeah.
He actually has more
Candyman.
support and backing somehow than either of the Stewart brothers. We've got Malcolm. We got Malcolm. I think he finally got something rolling last year. I would have never thought here we are 12 months later, and again, we're in the what's Malcolm going to do category.
Yeah, it's really, really bizarre
Yeah.
again, and you got to wonder about some of the choices that Malcolm's been making.
What do you mean by that?
Well, where's he been racing in the overseas? Where's he been racing in motocross? That type of thing.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him for a long time, and when he came in last year, he was a little bit behind everybody. We saw flashes of brilliance from Malcolm.
Oh, yeah.
Heat race Mookie
Heat race Mookie.
was great.
Let's put the stats up. We got stats. Go ahead. Keep going. Look at
And,
that.
and so for 2018, he will be out there as a privateer on a Kawasaki and hoping to get a fill-in ride or a spot along there. If his results are there, maybe he just steps into an open spot on some factory team. But for now, Malcolm will be a privateer on a Kawasaki, and hopefully we'll see good things out of him.
I want to swing it out to Pingree one more time out in California. You had mentioned over and over how teams always go for the home run instead of the triple. Malcolm Stewart absolutely represents the home run chance. You could get lightning in a bottle, and this guy could potentially win a race or even heat races, which they love, lead laps. The speed, the talent is there, yet he ends up not getting the ride, and normally those type of riders are the guys that teams go for. So I'll swing it out to Pingree out in California. Why do you think he hasn't gotten the backing from the teams that you would expect? Remember, he even has a 250 Supercross title quite recently, Ping. Why is he not getting help?
Yeah, Malcolm Stewart's a tough one to figure out. You know, he definitely has a lot of components to be a top rider. He's got a title under his belt. He's got a lot of personality. He's got the talent, speed. So why is he without a ride at this point? Is it his family? Is it the stigma that comes along with the Stewarts? I mean, there's been no shortage of drama with those guys over the years, and Big James is difficult to work with. So I'm sure that plays into it a little bit. But at the same time, if a guy's capable of winning races, team managers and teams will put up with just about anything. I've seen it. So I don't really think that's it. I think the bottom line here with Malcolm is that he hasn't shown a complete commitment to the sport. To me, when you opt out of the Nationals, you're just saying you don't want to do the hard work. And I think that that's the one thing he's lacking right now. Even when he showed up last year on a 450, he had to race himself into shape, super fast in the heat races, but could never hold on for the whole main event. And I think when you can't show that you are going to give 100% and be 100% ready to go at A1, teams are hesitant to take a chance on you. It's a lot of money they spend, and they want a guy that at the very least is going to pour his heart and soul into it. So I think that's the one thing Malcolm's missing. At this point, he can't blame anybody but himself, in my honest opinion. Because if he was out here grinding, doing what Barcia did, putting together his own team, riding, showing up to races, showing that he really wants to do it and be there, I absolutely promise you he'd be on a factory bike right now. My 2 cents. So that's what I think. Back to you guys.
Ooh, hot take. Hot take from Ping. But I don't know if you can argue it. I don't know if you can
His hair's
argue
on
it.
fire with that beanie.
Yeah, exactly. This one gets singed with those wildfires out there that he knows how to put out. Mention our sponsors here again. We got LS2 helmets, Pro Taper handlebars, and New Ray Toys helping us out with our shows. And here's another cool thing we want to show that Toyota will be promoting all year at Supercross events. This is the Make Up to Mud. Check this out.
This is how I define make up to mud.
All right, so always good to promote new riders in the sport and females in the sport. The industry really needs help with people buying motorcycles, so it would be really cool to get a different group on the bike, and that's what Toyota is trying to promote with the Make Up to Mud promotion. That's awesome. The world wants us to talk more about James Stewart. So if people want him to come back, and the numbers consistently show, we mentioned him on here, the show is going to be big, I guarantee it. We put a photo gallery up of him riding his ride day, huge numbers. People love James Stewart. What needs to happen to bring him back, or is there nothing that could possibly bring him back? He's not retired. He hasn't said it. You got anything?
I'm not talking about James Stewart anymore. I'm done.
Really?
Yeah, he broke my heart. I'm done.
I understand. Jilted lover. Anything?
The only thing that can bring James Stewart back is desire within James Stewart to come back.
Yeah.
The moment he picks up his phone and makes a real, genuine phone call to Red Bull, pick an OEM.
A gear company, maybe?
Well,
I think he's got that number.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But these people are ready and willing to help him if he's ready to be serious again. I think what everyone's concerned with is they line these things up, they make these commitments, and then he decides, I'm not ready yet. I don't want to do it. I'm not ready to commit to a full season or to really be prepared, because they've been down that road with him before over the last couple years. But if it's in his heart that he wants to do this again and do it right, I guarantee you there are companies and money ready and willing to get him back out there.
See, I think that's the problem. I think James Stewart doesn't want to go to a race unless he's the James Stewart we knew, which was the guy that could win races at any time. I mean, it's not like James Stewart, even in the heyday of Villopoto and Dungey winning titles, was ever going to race thinking, those guys got me covered. He always knew he could be the baddest dude on the planet or even the fastest man on the planet. But if he can't be that anymore, I don't think you have to go into hiding. It's just like we said, the fans would love to see Chad Reed out there even if he was getting last. They'd rather have that than not racing. Why can't James just do some fun clips on Instagram, do some YouTube videos, do straight rhythm and maybe Paris and Australia and all these off-season races, show up at a Supercross once in opening ceremony, say I'm retiring, do some whips, do some scrubs, do all that. If the standard is I can't come back unless I can win Anaheim, I don't think you're ever going to get over that bar again, and then we're never going to see you, and I feel like he still has a lot to offer, and we're not going to get any of it because I don't think James Stewart's coming back and beating Eli Tomac, Ken Roczen, and Marvin Musquin in a race. I think those days are over. Sorry.
It's done.
Sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve.
No, I agree 100% with you. That's exactly a path back for James.
Yeah.
To get back to loving to ride motorcycles again and get into the groove, make some money and be relevant again and sell some gear.
Yeah.
From the company that he owns.
Yep.
That's you've nailed it, but
Yep.
I don't know if that's going to happen.
The biggest, the interesting thing is that his problem is unique to him versus where Mookie's problem is completely the opposite. If James wants to go racing, I promise you people will help him go racing.
Yeah.
Mookie's problem, his brother in the same family, he wants to go racing. He's having a tougher time getting people to take him racing. So I bet Mookie probably lays in bed at night. He's like, man, can I have your problem? I want to go. I want to go.
Or please go for it. Make those phone calls and I can get on that team. Also,
Mookie should cut his hair short.
Just
and
put
then they
Stewart
can
on the
just
back of the
sub him
jersey.
in. Sub him
Yeah,
in. Yeah,
exactly. All right, so that's our show. Those are the mystery men. Barcia, Reed, Millsaps. We don't know if he's coming back or when he's coming back, and of course the Stewart brothers, perhaps the biggest mysteries of all. That's episode 3 of our Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship preview shows. Again, thanks to our sponsors LS2, Pro Taper, and New Ray Toys. Get your tickets at supercrosslive.com, and we'll see you on episode 4.